Hey, travelers. Just stopping by to let you know that this episode that you are about to listen to is one of our older ones, and we were going through some growing pains at this time. But if you would like to start from where we consider our newest era of quality, I would go ahead and jump to episode 54, The American Bigfoot. Either way, enjoy, travelers.
Welcome to Infinite Rabbit Hole. I am your co-host CJ here with
Jeremy, that's me.
wow,
I'm not used to being on this side.
you're exuberant.
Anyways, we're kind of talking about a different kind of topic today. Phobias.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one too because phobias are going to be kind of an important concept for a lot of the topics we have coming up in the future. So this will be a nice way to lay down a foundation and understand the difference between a fear and a phobia, and like really understand that some of the things we're going to be talking about later have a lot to do with fear and while we won't directly be discussing them, there's going to be a lot of fear-based observation for some of the things going on, and a lot of like conspiracy and government agencies and low-key stuff like the Illuminati and whatnot. They work off of fear. They found their foundation of their operation is how much they can scare people into doing what they want. So it's kind of good to talk about it.
Absolutely. You know, the other day when I was talking to you and I was like, hey, man, what do you want to talk about? You said you wanted to talk about phobias and one in particular. And I was like, ooh, man, I don't know. That's so outside my wheelhouse. But I was intrigued. So I did some research onto it. And man, I'll tell you, it was very easy to fall down this rabbit hole.
Oh yeah, for 100%. Coulrophobia is crazy.
So, coulrophobia.
Before we really get into coulrophobia, shouldn't we like give like a foundation for that too? Like what's a fear, what's a phobia, and the basis behind that, and the science within a phobia.
Well, here. So, according to healthline.com, a phobia is an excessive and irrational fear reaction. Often, many people would confuse being uncomfortable with something as a phobia, but having a phobia is much worse and can actually be clinically diagnosed. Top 10 phobias. You got any idea what any of these could be?
I know the first two are arachnophobia. Then I can't remember the name for it, but it's the fear of snakes. I don't remember after that.
All right, so I checked on psychology.com and they had a really cool article where they talked about the top 10. We're just going to go backwards here, kind of list them off and see if there's any surprises in here. So number 10 is mysophobia. By the way, guys, I highly apologize for any mispronunciation, but mysophobia is the fear of germs or dirt.
Yeah, that's one of those phobias that are considered a complicated phobia.
You know, I knew somebody who was afraid of like their hands. They had to wash their hands after every single thing they did. And it wasn't just one of those things where it was like, okay, I just used the bathroom. I'm going to wash my hands. That's something that you're taught as a kid. This was like, I just picked up this cup from the cabinet. I got to wash my hands before I touch the milk in the refrigerator, wash my hands after that so I could touch the cup and the milk. It was that insane. And I didn't realize the meaning behind it all until I'm not gonna lie, I kind of sidetracked and went down a different hole in this one and kind of did some research into that because I was so curious about what my childhood friend used to go through. That's some insane stuff, man. So people really go crazy with that one.
Yeah, and then the biggest thing about mysophobia, I think is how you say that, is that they used to confuse it with obsessive compulsive disorder, and they actually had to reclassify it as a phobia because it's not technically obsessive compulsive. Because you have to think a phobia is actually an anxiety disorder. I didn't actually look to see if OCD falls within in the realm of anxiety disorder, but I know that the whole germaphobe concept was moved and reclassified from OCD to phobia.
All right, so number 9, hanophobia. Anyways, it's the fear of flying.
Yeah, that's crazy. I actually during my research I read about that, and they were saying that it's a completely irrational fear, being that flying is like 11,000 or 11 million times safer than driving a car. And that actually had me thinking, like, yeah, but if we were in the air as often as we are in a car, would it really be safer?
Yeah, that's one of those things where you got to play the numbers game to see if it really is safe. That's definitely an interesting point.
Yeah, it's like measuring crime rate in one country to another just because of total numbers instead of per capita. It doesn't make sense.
Right. So number 8 is social phobias. I'm sure everyone's seen somebody with a social phobia or knows somebody or has a social phobia. I'm surprised that one's not higher up.
Yeah, I have a social phobia.
Really?
I cannot handle large groups of strangers being behind me. I need to be able to see them, and I'll press my back up against the wall or I'll have an entire anxiety attack.
Jeez, man. I have like I don't like going to Walmart. That's
No, it's not like that. Like I can handle being in stores and like walking outside and stuff, but if you place me inside a room where there's people in very close proximity and in large numbers, I need to be able to see that crowd because I don't
really.
trust them. I'm not it's weird because like a phobia, you think it's like fear, and it doesn't inspire fear in me. It just gives me anxiety attacks.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
because I don't know what's going on. I don't trust the situation. And I have to have my back against a wall so I can see everybody and know that, like, no one's going to jump me or something.
Well, that's one of the biggest symptoms of somebody actually having a phobia as to just an uncomfortable feeling or a fear of something is that they literally feel like they're having anxiety attacks when they're put in these situations.
Oh, yeah. No, no. It's 100% an anxiety attack. I know exactly what they feel like.
Oh man. So, all right, never mind. We'll stick to this. I'll get to that in a minute. Anyways, number 7, trypanophobia, which is the fear of injections.
I got that one too.
Really? See, I don't have
Yep.
a problem with that.
It's okay. Like, you can stick me with a needle and I can get tattooed. I love getting tattoos. But if I can see the needle, it's a problem. My blood pressure will shoot straight up through the roof and I'll start
Really?
sweating and stuff. Yeah. Can't handle needles.
Oh man, the Navy just needles you all the time, like all the
Like I
time.
said, I can handle it. Like the pain, like it doesn't hurt. Like once you stick me with it, like I'm okay. I don't even say ow where I don't wince. Nothing.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of a substance being injected underneath my skin, and I can't see it. I can't see it. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't trust it, but I can handle it. Like I go get a TV shot, and they're like, "We're gonna poke you." I'm like, "All right, cool. Just let me know." So I look away, and then don't tell me when you're about to do it. Just stick me and get it over with.
So in boot camp, they have an assembly line for shots. You have a piece of paper and it's clipped to your chest, and you just walk through this tunnel of people on each side of you, and they look at this page on your chest, and if you need a shot from them, they just stick you, and you just keep walking with your arms with your sleeves rolled up and your arms out, and they just keep sticking you, and at the very end they have you bend over a table and stick this giant needle full of penicillin right in your butt cheek, and they call it the peanut butter shot. It's a horrible day.
Why would you call something like that a peanut butter shot?
Dude, have you ever seen pure penicillin? It's
No.
so thick. Okay, so you get this shot on your butt cheek, and it literally makes a bulge on your butt cheek. You got to rub it. They tell you to sit on it and everything, and your leg gets numb. They even tell you like the next morning, don't get out of your rack too quickly. Like ease out of it because you can collapse.
Oh,
Yeah, like this stuff is thick, man, and there's a mound of penicillin underneath your butt cheek skin when after
why
they
though?
do it.
Why give you all the penicillin? I don't.
Dude, do you man, let me tell you about all the people that got sick in boot camp. It's literally like all the illnesses from all over the country and a couple, territories outside the United States all come into one building out of 100 people that share this one room, and people just get sick with everything.
Yeah, see, I would have been okay on the. I would have been okay with everything. I just would have had to like look up. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna look. Just stick me. I'll be all right.
So the peanut butter shot, they make you all bend over a table, and it's like four of you, and you all have to look in each other's eyes while somebody's while they
While
go
they stick it in
around.
your ass. All right.
That's exactly what they do. And if you flinch, they stop because you can't tense up while they're doing it. I guess it just doesn't go in right or whatever. I remember when I was doing it, I tensed up when I felt him coming, and I tensed, and he's like, "No, man, you got to chill out." It
Just take
sucked.
it. Just take it.
Just take it, man. All
Oh
right.
man.
Number 6, astrophobia, the fear of thunder and lightning. Dude, I love
Yeah, I
thunder and
mean,
lightning.
I've seen it a lot in like cats and dogs and like really young children.
I can't believe that's ahead of social phobias. I feel like that's wrong. I mean, I'm not a psychologist and I'm not a writer for psychology.com, but I don't know, man.
I don't know. I mean, you see the way a lot of people react to fireworks and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, the first time my son heard thunder go off, like the very first time he experienced a summer storm, man, he took off like a bang shot and hid behind us on the couch.
So the next one is cynophobia, the fear of dogs.
I see a lot of people afraid of dogs.
Me too. I'm not surprised that one's up there like that.
I feel like it would be more justified to be more scared of cats, but yeah, I see a lot of people afraid of dogs. I mean, dogs are kind of scary.
I think because we see the most common cat that everyone sees is the common house cat, and I mean honestly, yeah, I have a couple cats, but if I was to get threatened by my cat or my full grown German Shepherd, I would definitely be more afraid that my German Shepherd is going to tear me limb from limb than the few scratches I'm going to get from my cat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when a cat goes all out and attacks you, though, it could be all over. Well, not your cat. Your cat's the size of a house, but a cat will be all over you, all over the place, biting and scratching, running down the center of your back. And dogs, at least, dogs a bigger target. Like you're gonna get bit, but like maybe you could punch it in the face or something. Like they're really really hard to fight a cat.
I don't know, man. I'm not surprised by this one personally. All right, number 4, agoraphobia, or the fear of situations that are hard to escape, such as crowded areas.
Yeah, that one's like a really specific phobia too, where it's not necessarily like outdoor spaces or something like you're afraid of. It's anything that you perceive that there's no escape from,
Right? Yeah.
and it's a really complicated phobia.
Like I was reading in a little bit on this one too. I guess people who are put in jail or prison inmates actually find out that they have this phobia after they actually get locked up. As long as they're clinically diagnosed with agoraphobia, they have special places that they can put them. Because if they keep them in cells, it's actually a form of torture, and they could be getting a lot of trouble for that.
Right, right.
So number 3 is acrophobia, or the fear of heights.
Yes, I'm not a fan of the heights. Don't like them.
Yeah, I wonder if roller coasters fall into that one because I won't go near a fucking roller coaster.
When I was doing the research, it was I fell into the one category that like it's possible that I just have a fear, not necessarily a phobia, but I don't like bridges. I don't like being on bridges. Not like little small things that go over a creek or something like that.
Yeah,
Not a big deal. But if we're going over a large bridge that spans over an entire river, if I'm in a car, I can pretend I'm on the road still, like, and I'm not 120 feet above the water.
yeah.
But if I have to walk on a sidewalk, ooh,
Oh
ooh,
man.
I don't like it.
So on my way to work every day, going down to the base, I have to go under 2 tunnels in the water.
Yeah, see, I mean, well, see, under doesn't bother me so much.
Well, they start off they're really long bridges, and then halfway through them, you have to go under the water so that ships can go over it.
Yeah, see, under don't bother me.
Oh man.
I can swim. If the water comes in, I'm good. I know I can swim, right?
Oh man, I don't know. I don't know.
But
These are
I
long.
mean,
These are long. They're not like, you're in there for at least 2 or 3 minutes before you pop back out the other side going at full speed.
that's fine. I can hold my breath for 2 minutes. Like I'm good. Like it sounds really weird and it's really super irrational, but I'm not afraid of dying. If there's a situation where if it goes wrong, death is guaranteed, I'm okay. I'm afraid of surviving because it's gonna hurt really, really bad.
I wish I had that fear. I'm the opposite, man. I definitely fear dying. But you know what? You know what I learned doing this research is that the fear of dying isn't technically a phobia because phobias are irrational fears about harmless things or things that are less harmful. So like such as, flying in a plane. It's supposed to be harmless, right? And people will literally ruin their lives by not going on a plane. Let's say they've been accepted to Arizona State University and they live in New York, right? And they literally will not take that flight out there to go to orientation or whatever. So they choose a community college closer to home, something like that. But a fear of death, I mean, that's the ultimate punishment is death.
I don't like calling it a punishment because a punishment is an option. Like you can avoid a punishment by acting right. You can avoid a punishment.
Right.
Death is coming for all of us. There is no getting around it. It's
Yeah.
coming.
But I don't know. It's like it's like the ultimate outcome.
Yeah.
The worst possible outcome that can happen is that you die. I mean, we all know is going to happen, but I guess dying sooner than you wanted to would be an ultimate punishment. I mean, not that anybody goes into their life and they're like, all right, I'm going to die when I'm 98 years old. And on your 98th birthday, you're like, all right, that's it. I'm done. I mean, I guess that. But
Log it out. Like, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where, like, if it comes for me, it comes for me. Like, I accept the fact that one of these days death is going to come looking, and it could be tomorrow, it could be 50 years from now, whatever.
I'm the complete
And
opposite.
yeah, it doesn't bother me the idea of dying
Oh, man.
because I'm just going to move on to the next step, right? So, whatever that step is, whether it's nothing, whether it's something, we'll find out when we get there. I don't think I'm a shitty person, so I'm not really too worried about burning or whatever. But one of these days, like, it's gonna happen, and there's nothing I can do about that. The only thing I guess is a little bit scary is not knowing, like, what is gonna happen, and that's kind of scary, you know. But there's no avoiding it, so you might as well accept it.
We have an afterlife episode that we're going to eventually do. It's on the list. So I'm going to save my opinions for that because I definitely have my
I'd be
opinions.
excited
But
about that. I can go on about that for hours.
yeah, I think that's going to end up being a two-parter for sure. That might be something where we revisit every once in a while. But this next one is me, Ophidophia, the fear of snakes.
You don't like them?
No, I guess this would be my one true phobia because when I see a snake, especially when it surprises me, I feel like my heart stops. I get panicky. I'll tell you a story. Well, a
You
couple.
shiver and you sweat.
Yeah, I shiver, I sweat. So you ever seen something really bad happen? Like for example, when I was younger, at my first job, I was walking home from work, and unfortunately, I saw a woman get hit by a car, and the whole time seemed to have slowed down while the whole thing happened. That's happened a couple more times to me in life when I've seen something really bad. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I saw somebody get kicked in the face by a horse.
Ooh,
They lived,
really?
but I won't go within 10 foot of a horse. I love horses. The horses are cool. I like to look at them, but I'm not okay with getting in about 15, 20 foot is where I like to be.
Anyways, so oh damn, just picturing that. I was mowing the lawn not a couple months ago, and as I was mowing the lawn, I saw something right out of the corner of my eye, about a foot away from my lawnmower, just slither underneath the fence. And I let go of the lawnmower and walked away. My wife was out front doing something with the kids, and she looked at me, and I just stared at her. She goes, "You just saw a snake, didn't you?" And I said, "I did. I really did." And she just starts laughing. She thinks it's fucking hilarious. She's an evil woman.
Yeah, I love snakes. I love them.
Hate
I would
them.
have gone tearing after it. Like, where'd you see it? Get my hook.
It's like one of those things where it doesn't ruin like if I go to a pet store or anything because I expect to see it, but it can ruin going for a walk in the woods or going camping or something. Like, I try not to think about it and because I don't want that to limit my experiences in life. But if I go out into the woods and I see a snake, that whole day is done. I'm done. Ready to go home. Yeah.
That's rough, man.
Not for me. Not for me. Not a fan. Anyways, on to number one. You're right. Number one fear in the world, according to psychology.com, is arachnophobia, the fear of
hmm
spiders.
I actually recently got over that. That was a
Really?
lifelong phobia for me. Yeah, I used to love spiders when I was a kid. And it was about 8 years old. I got chased by a wolf spider because it had babies on it, and I was like, "Oh, look at that!" And then found out that spiders can act very defensively, and when provoked, they don't give up easily. And nobody helped me. My dad rolled around on the ground, laughed at me, and I was just running. And and when it got tired, it didn't stop. It just walked.
My wife is afraid of spiders. My buddy Mike is also afraid of spiders. I've seen a lot of people afraid of spiders. And I have done a lot of reading into arachnophobia. And this is going to be something that we probably have to cover later on too, because there's just so much information about it. I mean, just like I don't know, the tidbits, the juice, the meat of what's going on with arachnophobia is that there's this big debate going on right now in the world where people believe that people who say that they are quote unquote arachnophobic is that they do it because it's a popular phobia and a lot of it is attention driven. I've seen a grown man cry because he lifted his recliner like off the ground, like we were moving it, and he saw a banana spider or one of those yellow garden spiders. I think they're called banana spiders crawl out in his living room. He dropped his side of the recliner and literally turned around, walked away, and then I was like, "Bro, what's going on?" And I heard him fucking crying. And I walked up to him and he was like tears coming out of his eyes. He's like, "Dude, I can't do spiders." Like this dude was clearly scared to death of this spider. So I took care of it. You know, I went and I actually got the dustpan and swept it into a dustpan and just threw it in his backyard, and he was so mad at me for throwing it in his backyard. He's like, "Why would you do that? I can't go back there now." And I was like, "Dude," I was like, "What?" So I actually went back there and tried to look for it. I didn't find it.
I would have
I was
just told him I killed it.
good.
Like, I got
Yeah,
it, bro. Don't worry. It's gone now.
we had the same exact spider that hung outside of our dining room window just a little while ago. We named it Frank, but I didn't know that the females were actually the big ones. But we named him Frank the Tank, and sooner or later, Frank the Tank had 3 gigantic sacks of eggs, and I was like, I think Frank is like a Francine. I don't think that's a Frank, but the neighbor ended up spraying them, and the kids were actually really upset about that. Dude, they were looking outside every day to see what Frank was doing.
Getting over arachnophobia was recent for me. We'll get into how we do that in a little bit, but I have a pretty good arachnophobia story that happened to me. So in a place we used to live at, and you remember Ninja,
Yeah.
so we've lived together for a long time. And I went into the bathroom, this place we were living at, and I'm sitting down doing my business, and this spider comes down off the ceiling and dangles in front of my face on its little string.
Oh,
It wasn't big, but it was red, right?
yeah.
I think it was maybe the size of a dime. Like total, like even like maybe it was a quarter with the legs, maybe a
Hmm.
nickel. I don't know. It wasn't that big, but it like waved its little legs at me, and I screamed, flew off the toilet. Pants, pants are gone. Pants are not, and I'm on the sink, and I pooped in the sink, and I'm screaming, right? And I crapped on myself in the sink. It was so bad. And Ninja is laughing on the other side of the door. And he goes, "I see you met Gandalf." And I was like, "Why? Why did you name it? You knew it was in here. Why did you not kill it?" He's like, "'Cause you shall not pass." And I'm screaming on the back of this toilet. Literally, this grown man had to come in that bathroom. I'm on the toilet wearing no pants. He had to get rid of that spider. I wasn't coming out. Nope.
Not gonna lie, that's funny.
I
I
had to clean the
feel
sink though.
I'm sure you did. I feel like quite the man when my wife sees a spider and she's like, "Kill it!" And I'm like, "Ah, I got you, babe." I come in with my trusty flip flop and I do the deed and
You
I
get it with a
stand.
chancla?
eh, I stand up with my hands on my hips and I'm like, "Don't worry, babe, I'll save you."
Oh,
And
I've
I
got this.
unless I'm sleeping, which is a couple times it's happened where I'm like laying in bed and either like one of my daughters or my wife will be like, "Jeremy, come get that spider!" And I'm like, "Damn it!" It's either just knocked out or it's the first thing in the morning because that's happened a couple times.
Mm.
Uh, anyways, moving on. I found some interesting stuff about phobias. Just some little bit of tidbits about ancient and modern phobias. Are you familiar with these at all?
Um, to a point, I was more interested in the science behind what causes a phobia
Yeah,
and why we're afraid of certain things, even if we've never seen them before.
right. I definitely have some good stuff when we get down to coulrophobia. But real quick, I found many different ways that phobias are categorized. My personal favorite is the one that separates phobias into 2 separate categories: ancient and modern. An ancient phobia is one that includes a phobia that would have been present even if there was no influence by modern society.
Hmm.
Examples of ancient phobias are ones such as those that fear heights, small spaces, snakes, spiders, blood, and the dark. A modern phobia is one that exists due to society and the advancements of mankind. Examples of modern phobias are those that fear airplanes, bridges, needles, and clowns.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
because the concept of the clown really isn't that old, given how long man has existed.
The reason why I want to point this out is I find it very interesting that there are phobias that were created because of the advancement of mankind. If there was no airplanes, then a lot of people probably wouldn't even know that they're either afraid of heights or that they're afraid of flying or that they're afraid of airplanes. It would just simply not exist and people would go forward without ever knowing that they have
Hmm.
this extreme phobia.
Yeah, a lot of people actually have phobias that they don't know they have because they haven't been exposed to them.
True. That's very
Yeah,
true.
yeah, because of the way phobias work. There are people with certain genetics that predispose them to phobias. I think that one of the best examples that I saw was the parent that has twins, and one twin falls off the couch because they were jumping and they get hurt. Now they won't climb the furniture, but the other one just jumps like crazy. And, or not twins, just siblings, and the other one's just jumping like crazy. And regardless of how many times this one falls off, it just gets back up and keeps doing it. It's the ones carrying the gene, like a recessive gene or whatever it is, carrying the gene that predisposes them to phobia, and the other one doesn't care because they don't have it.
Hmm. That's
Was it was
interesting.
an interesting? I mean, it's that's not a really great example. It's just the one that I liked because if you think about it, because it's like I mean, coming from the same parents, they should have the same genetics, like whatever. But yeah, like you have these genes that activate within you and predispose you to certain types of phobias, and like what you were saying with like ancient phobias, those phobias are oftentimes passed in our genetics specifically, like your fear of snakes. Back in the day, I mean, in the day, we're talking living in caves, nomadic lifestyle back in the day. Snakes and spiders would have been seen as a threat. And the fact that most snakes, so there's no such thing as an aggressive snake, right? There's defensive snakes and then there's feeding responses. And when you encounter something like a human being, you're not going to really experience a feeding response most of the time. So these are defensive responses where they puff up and they hiss and they get big and they rattle their tails, or all these different defense mechanisms that they have. Snakes are evolutionary designed to be frightening. That's how they survive. They scare things away from them. And these things would have been seen as a threat, and those fears will be passed from generation to generation to generation because evolutionarily speaking, the people that avoided those creatures died less often. So that fear would just be passed, and then it would take precedence because people survived because they avoided those animals.
Hmm.
It's a really interesting concept. And then there was also a study that suggested that you're more likely to be afraid of the things your mother is afraid of than your father.
Really?
Yeah, it's not saying that you can't inherit a fear from your father or a phobia
Yeah.
from your father. It's just more likely that your mother will pass it to you. So it made sense that because my mother is a horrible arachnophobe, she will scream in the most dramatic of fashions. So it made sense that I would have been easily turned from liking spiders to being afraid of them because that would have been writing in my genetics. Yeah, it's like this really interesting and just complicated study because you have simple phobias and then you have complicated phobias, and they fall in the classes just like your ancient and modern phobias. So like if you have something like the fear of flying, I mean that sort of makes sense. Like we evolved and we created these airplanes, and now we're up there and people are afraid of that. Where an ancient phobia like the fear of heights, we would have developed the fear of heights because we would fear the consequences of, say, falling off a cliff. And
Yeah.
people who avoided cliff edges had a much higher survival rate than people who were just jumping off of them willy nilly, right?
Yeah, like that one sibling who just kept jumping off cliffs and never learned.
Right, right. Never learned. They just fall down, hit the rocks, and one day they just don't make it. And then
Yeah,
they fail to breed because they didn't make it.
I'm sure. Very true.
So you have something like the fear of heights, which would easily evolve to be the fear of planes because you're way high up in the air.
Hmm.
And though surviving a 30,000-foot fall happens, it's not likely you're going to live through that.
So I don't know if my mom is afraid of snakes. I don't think so, but my dad is. I think my dad is very similar to me, and I might have gotten it from my dad because I remember one time we were moving a playground that he had built for us little like swing set or whatever that he
Yeah.
built for us out in the yard. We were moving it from one side to the other, and he was pulling it, and he had lifted it up and was dragging it, and a snake came out, and he dropped it, and he's like, "Yep, not doing that today." and I remember he put like a rock or a brick underneath it to kind of tilt it to one side to let the snake go out. And like he waited 3 or 4 days to even go out there and attempt it again.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about tens of thousands of years if you trace your ancestry back far enough. The fear of snakes makes sense in an evolutionary sense. It makes sense. It's kind of weird that there are those of us like me who love them. Like if you see a snake, I will chase it.
No way. Nope.
I mean, if I identify it as a venomous snake, which I'm pretty good at, I'll get close and take pictures. I won't mess with it because I understand the behavior of snakes and reptiles. But if it's like something harmless, like I'm not afraid to get bit by a garter snake, and they will bite you. They have bad attitudes. I'll grab that thing right up off the ground, like come here, get over here. Like it doesn't bother me, and
Nope.
that's an oddity actually. Like when it comes to human beings, it's strange to not be afraid of snakes,
Yeah, no.
or at least made uncomfortable by them.
Extremely. You ever seen that the movie Jackass where Bam Margera was thrown into the thing with a bunch of snakes and he just
Yeah, and he
flipped his shit?
cried.
Yeah, that'd be me, bro. I mean,
Yeah,
I'd be like, all right, take me away. I'm done. Just use that bullet right there and just end it. I'm done.
I'm surprised he didn't have like a heart attack or something. Like,
I would rather take one than have that experience, dude. Like when I saw that scene, I felt that in my soul. Like I felt for Bam Margera, man. Like I wanted to be like I wanted to go help him, but at the same time, if I ever had the chance to help him, I wouldn't. I'd be like, all right, yeah, Bam, man, you're screwed, bro.
right? I'm gonna live because I'm faster.
Yeah, man, that'd be my worst nightmare. Absolutely.
Oh no, I completely understand.
But I actually found a possible explanation that might be kind of more down your path.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with metaphysics at all or any of the theories or anything, but I did find an article that was very interesting. So I did a lot of research into the fear of snakes because I am afraid of snakes. And I came across this article that said the title of it was I'm afraid of snakes and I used to be a cat. And I was like, that's strange. So I clicked on it and they were talking about how phobias could potentially be linked to a past life or a past life experience. Like this person is like, I love cats. I am extremely affectionate towards cats. I have 3 of them at home. They are my children. I also have children, and I love them just as much as my children, and I would do anything for them just as they were my children. So I believe that in a past life, I might have been a cat, and I believe I was a cat that died by a snake because I am terrified of snakes. And I was like, imagine if, like we just talked about in a couple episodes ago, the soul or the consciousness, like if the consciousness was in the body of a cat, right? A feral cat, and that feral cat was eaten by a snake. And that's just so embedded into the consciousness that when it's reborn again, it has those fears built into it. I mean, I don't know anything about this. It's not something that I necessarily believe. I just thought it was very interesting, so I thought I'd bring it up.
I mean, in a way, it makes sense. In a passive, latent memory, I'm not necessarily certain if we take part in being something like a cat. I mean, I guess. I mean, who knows? But to say something directly like, "Oh, I'm afraid of snakes because I was a cat and I was killed by a snake," maybe. I mean, why do you think that though? Would be like the question that I would ask. Like what led you to believe that? I mean, I understand you love cats,
Hmm.
and that makes you think that you were a cat, which loosely makes sense. But why? Why? What experience have you had? Have you had like dreams? Have you experienced something, visions, anything that would lead you to believe that? Do you meditate? Like anything? There would be questions,
Yeah.
but I mean, I'm not. I don't want to. I don't want to say that she's wrong because for all I know, she's right. But it seems like a strange thing to me.
It did to me too. I just thought it would be interesting to bring up that point of view in this episode.
Yeah, in a way, like following what I believe in a metaphysical sense, it does make sense. I mean, it's right in line with if that's how it was going to be. I mean, that is how maybe it would work. But I would just be curious as to what led her to believe, other than I like cats and I'm afraid of snakes. This is the
Yeah.
conclusion I came to. I would expect something more than just, well, that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I had a lot of other stuff that I was more interested in reading. I just kind of read the synopsis on that, so I didn't I didn't really dive deep into it. But I was like, cool, noted. I guess I'll put that out there for CJ to dissect a little bit. But anyways, let's you ready to move on to our phobia of the day?
No.
Ooh.
I want to talk about real quick treatments for phobias and how people get over them.
Oh, absolutely. Let's do it, man. Hey, everybody. Bear with us while we take this quick break.
What if an appliance emergency didn't have to be? If your appliances suddenly decided they were done, don't stress. Best Buy has you covered with a wide variety of major appliances from trusted brands, in stock and available now. So you don't have to worry about laundry piling up, refilling the fridge, or that big dinner party you're hosting. Because Best Buy has the knowledge and expertise to get you the right appliance for your home. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy. Imagine that.
The one of them that I came across was really simple. People are like, "Yeah, if you have a phobia of something, you simply avoid the thing."
Well, yeah.
Like I think they call it avoidance therapy, and that just makes sense. It doesn't sound like therapy because therapy would help you. The idea behind the therapy is to overcome the phobia and remove that, cure the anxiety disorder, or at least dull it to a point you don't notice it anymore. So that doesn't really feel like a therapy to me. The one that I did a little more studying on, and one that actually worked for me specifically, has two names. They either call it immersion therapy or exposure therapy. I don't like calling it immersion therapy just because of my own personal preference, because it's the exposure of being exposed to what you're afraid of. But immersion therapy is also a therapy where they place you in water, and it's for a completely different thing. It doesn't have anything to do with fear. So I kind of like calling it exposure therapy, and that's where you form this situation that would make you as comfortable as possible, and then you are exposed to the thing that frightens you the most, and having a positive interaction with the thing or the situation um, uh, helps you overcome the anxiety behind it. And I personally did this with spiders. I wouldn't say I'm completely past being afraid of spiders. They still make me uncomfortable, but I can be around them. I can look at pictures of them now. Like if we went to the zoo, I'd be okay with seeing them in cages where I wouldn't have gone into the room before. I would have literally been like, "You guys enjoy. I'll be on the other side with a Dippin' Dots when you get out." Yeah. So I mean, it does work. Having positive interactions. I will not hold a spider. I won't do that. We're not cool. That we're not okay. Like on that level. But
Got
yeah,
it.
like my exposure therapy is I decided I'm a 6'2", 300-pound man. It's ridiculous that I'm afraid of spiders, and I got a pet one.
Really?
Yeah, it took a long time to work up the cojones for that. Originally, I was gonna get a tarantula. I was just gonna go all out and get a tarantula. And then the person I was talking to about it and like learning about their care and stuff, because I don't just get animals willy nilly. Like I make sure I know what I'm doing with them because it's still a life.
Yeah.
Even though it's an arthropod, like it's still a life. So, and then she was like talking to me, and I'm like, okay, because this lady Christina, she breeds them, and she's like, okay, and then just so you know, when it escapes, it's not going to go more than about 3 or 4 feet from where it gets out of. So just check like that. I'm like, I'm sorry, hold on. What do you mean when it escapes? I got good kid. She's like, oh no, it will escape at some point. I was like,
Mm.
oh, I don't need a tarantula anymore. I'm not going to be able to handle that. Not
Yeah.
going to be able to be okay with that. It's like a little jumping spider, which was still scary when I got it. It was the size of like a pea, and now it's like the size of my thumbnail. But I made sure I got one that was like had like the bright and frightening colors and just as scary as I could possibly get it. And eventually, I was able to feed it myself and give it water. And if it when it does escape, I'm able to chase it back into its enclosure. and it did hop onto my hand once, and I froze like an ice cube. But yeah, I guess I'm not a completely over my arachnophobia, but I am removed enough from it now that I can be near a spider and not be okay.
My wife has asked me on multiple occasions if we can get a snake. I will admit there was, let me be clear, there was a sliver of thought about getting a snake. I can't do it, man. I can't. Like I've gone to the pet store. My wife works as a receptionist at a vet office, and they're inside of a pet store. You know, I've looked at the snakes, which I can do. I don't like to like just go up to them. You know, I like to look at them from a distance and then be like, okay, there it is. And
Right.
then is there any other snakes around it? Because I want to be able to tell like where they are and stuff. I don't like going up to a cage and not seeing a snake and being like, okay, there's supposed to be a snake in here. Where is it? I need to know where this thing is. Then I'll just get away from that whole area. That's not for me.
Yeah.
I can't. You've got some balls, man. I can't do that.
I mean, it took a lot, dude. Like it really it took probably a year and a half before I was finally like I made the decision that I was going to do it. And I know my story, like I shortened it up, but it was about a year and a half of watching. Like what I did was I started by seeing pictures of my friends' pets. I have a friend named Zane. He's got a tarantula, and I would look at his pictures of his tarantula. And when I stopped sweating while doing that, then I started looking at like YouTube videos and started watching a channel called like The Dark Den, and Exotics Layer and stuff. And then when I was finally comfortable with that, then I kind of like would check them out at the pet store a little bit. I never kind of got comfortable with that, but it took about a year and a half before finally doing it. And it was just having baby steps and like, all right, this was a positive experience. Nothing hurt me. And I'm okay with that now. And now I know my subconscious knows that I'm not going to get hurt
Yeah.
and just moving forward slowly. So like when it comes to snakes with you, like the thing is you would have to make those baby steps. Reptiles know. They know. Like they're like dogs. They know you're afraid. You'll secrete pheromones which they're susceptible to. They can detect the moisture on your skin. They know you're shivering. Like they understand that you're afraid. And they also understand that if they're in the hands of something that's afraid of them, there's a really good chance that it's going to hurt them, which will make them act defensively. And you're more likely to get bitten in a state of fear than you are just handling them in general. So you would really have to work on being able to get close to them, maybe just being in their presence, and then maybe at some point reaching out and touching them for a couple seconds, but not actually holding them. Like it would be a process to get through, and it's a lot, and it's going to stress you out.
Nah.
Yeah, like I'm getting at some point a Western hognose snake, and I think they're the most one. They have the most adorable face I've ever seen on a snake. They don't really bite. It was a really rare situation for them to bite you. When they act, they'll tell you about how they're going to bite you. They'll huff, they'll puff, they'll hiss, they'll do what's called a dry strike. Not a dry strike. That's an actual bite, but they'll do a false tag where they'll just headbutt you and make you think they're biting you. But they like and then when that doesn't work, they play dead. They have like these little tantrums, and it's hilarious. Like they just have the most dramatic thing in the whole world. But they are rear fang venomous. And a lot of people hear that and they're like, "Oh my god, it's venomous!" But like, it can't. Like you, at worst, you might get like a swelling. They say if you're allergic to bees, to not risk it, because if you have a bee venom allergy, there's a chance you might have like an anaphylactic reaction.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like been nobody ever in the history of ever killed by a hognose. But they will act. They'll hood up. They hood like cobras a little bit, and they'll hiss and like it's funny when they have one with a bad attitude problem. But that's not something like in your case, like if you were going to touch a snake for the first time, it's like a ball python, because they don't bite anyone. They're really cool. They're super calm, and they can hold on. So like if you like freak out, if you do get the balls to hold one of them and you freak out, you're not going to fling it across the room and hurt it. It's going to latch on. It's going to hold on because it's like, oh shit, I'm all over the place.
Oh man, if that ever happened to me, I'd lose it.
But like they're not going to. That's not. I've had a ball python strike me before, but I've also been around probably a couple hundred of them. And I've had one that was an asshole. And that's just because he came from a really bad home where it was abused. So,
Who would abuse a snake?
you
I
know,
don't,
we've rescued like we had a 6 foot iguana for a while that my old roommate drove 6.5 hours to Ohio, picked it up, and drove 6.5 hours home. It was originally this lady's daughter's iguana, and when she went off to college, the lady was left to it, and the lady was terrified of it. So when she had to feed it, she would go in and like smack it with a broom and stuff to get it out of the way. So this
oh,
iguana learned, and iguanas have horrible, horrible. They're terrible pets. Don't ever get an iguana. They're terrible. I mean,
God.
there are the cases out there where my iguana is like a puppy. Great, awesome for you. That's a rarity. Iguanas typically suck, and then this one was abused on top of it. So this thing triple sucked. And yeah, we had this thing in the house, but yeah, they end up in these situations and in hands of people that shouldn't have them, and these people abuse them.
Hmm.
They,
Yeah.
they learn to that humans are something to be feared, and reptiles. I mean, there are aggressive reptiles, but when it comes to things like snakes, there's no aggressive snake. There is not a snake in this planet that is going to chase you. I mean, maybe an anaconda, but like they're not. But that's a feeding response. That's
Right.
not I want to hurt you for the sake of hurting you. You have defensive, and then you have feeding. So if it wants to eat you, if it's big enough to eat you, it might try. But anything else, it's all defensive. So if you don't give it a reason to be afraid, it probably won't be, especially if it's been socialized ahead of time.
I don't know, man. I don't think that would be my therapy choice.
It's the only way that I've really gotten over it, you know?
Yeah. But it's not like to the point where I want to get better from being afraid of snakes. And it's after doing a lot of research into a lot of these phobias, I don't even know if it's a phobia that I have. It might be just like one of those situations where I'm just uncomfortable with snakes. Because yes, I do. I start to sweat. I have increased heartbeat. I lose my breath. And that kind of stuff. But like, I can look at pictures of snakes. I can look at snakes in the tank. I can see a snake on TV. That doesn't bother me. You know, it's when it sneaks up on me and I don't notice it is the one of the most terrifying things in the world.
That doesn't sound like a phobia. That sounds like an instinct. That sounds literally what we were talking about before, like
Yeah.
this natural instinct to avoid something because it would have been perceived as deadly to all of your ancestors previously.
There was one time I was hanging out with my wife at a pool and she had her cousin over. It was an apartment complex and we were at the pool and I was laying on the fold out chair and there's a snake that came up right next to me. And like lost my shit, jumped in the pool, swam to the other side, sat on the outside of the pool watching the snake, and I wanted to cry. Like it scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, that was
Uh,
a mistake, by the way. Snakes are faster in water than they are on land.
yeah, man, I don't know anything really about snakes, or I don't care.
Snakes are
Uh,
quick in the water. They're
yeah,
fast.
yeah, it's probably a bad idea. Anyways, long story short, I don't want to mess with snakes, and if they don't want to mess with me, that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, they 100% don't. Like
Good.
if you leave them alone, they are more than happy to ignore the fact that you exist.
That is good news for me. I can go back hiking. Awesome.
Yeah, like if you see one just chilling on a rock and you walk past it, chances are it's not even gonna move.
Good.
Yeah,
If I see one chilling on a rock, I will go a football field away from it and walk around it.
yeah. The snake is definitely down for that deal.
All right. Are you ready to talk about our phobia of the day?
Yes.
As we said before, our phobia of the day is going to be coulrophobia, the fear of clowns.
I picked that one on purpose.
Coulrophobia. Although some people may feel uncomfortable around clowns, having coulrophobia is rare. People suffering from this phobia may experience symptoms such as nausea, panic, shaking, increased heartbeat, sweating, and trouble breathing when they see a clown, and may go to extreme lengths to avoid being anywhere near them. Having an actual phobia to clowns is best treated or discussed by a mental health professional.
Yeah, it's only like 7.8% of Americans experience the fear.
Yeah, so this is another one of those that, like I was talking about with arachnophobia, where The article I was reading is that it seems to be another fad phobia. Yes, there are people that are legitimately afraid of clowns and spiders. That is definitely true, and I'm not claiming that there isn't. But the numbers may be inflated due to people claiming to be afraid or phobic against something.
Attention seeking, yeah.
Yeah, against clowns or spiders. And so the numbers aren't really true. I do know a couple people that are afraid of clowns. My mother is one of them. But I think her initial fear from clowns came from the movie It.
Apparently, that's a lot of people's
Yeah.
reason for being afraid of them.
Yeah, we're going to get into that in a little bit. I've got a little bit of information on that too.
I got a pop vinyl of Pennywise sitting right next to me.
Ooh. My brother is a big fan of Pennywise. I think he's got a pop vinyl too. I've got a ton of. Oh, hey, Dash is here. What's up, man? The podcast cat is dropping by to say hi to everybody, by the way.
Cats kill snakes.
You just became cooler, dude. Let's talk about it. Why are people afraid of clowns? The Geisinger Medical Center's website, geisinger.org, lists 3 possibilities as to why people may fear clowns. The first being the uncanny effect. Are you familiar with this at all, CJ?
I know that the term uncanny was coined by Sigmund Freud.
Yeah.
To explain something that doesn't make sense. So you're experiencing a phenomena or an action or something, and it doesn't make sense that it's happening, but it is.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to get to. So this effect is described as being something both familiar and unfamiliar at the same time. So this explains why some people are also creeped out by dolls, robots, and zombies, just to name a few other examples that go along with clowns. The uncanniness of seeing a human figure with human details, but also seeing clear differences, is one of the reasons why some people become extremely uncomfortable around such things such as clowns. In the case of clowns, seeing a distorted face that has been painted on, exaggerated clothing, attitudes, and demeanors create a very uncanny experience, which may lead many people to literally having a panic attack.
Yeah, they say most people at bare minimum are uncomfortable around clowns. It's actually pretty rare for people to love them. Most people are uncomfortable, and then 7.8 to 10% of people actually legitimately have the phobia.
Clowns don't bother me at all, man. Not at all. I don't care.
They don't particularly bother me either. I won't go out of my, like, someone's like, oh yeah, we're gonna go here and see a clown. I'll be like, why? Like, okay, is it gonna do magic or something? Like, why are we doing this? But the reason I wanted to talk about clowns really is the science behind, some of the stuff we're talking about here, behind why people are afraid of them, because it's fascinating. And with the science behind it, it's amazing that more people are not terrified by them.
I agree.
Because they say, like, with the makeup and stuff, like you said, they have these human features, but it's not quite human.
Yeah.
And the big thing about that is our brains and like our vision and like the way things we perceive things, we are programmed to recognize other humans' emotions. So when you see a smile, you know it's happy. You see a frown, you know it's sad. But then you experience a clown, and they have this makeup smile. The other thing that we're programmed to recognize is false emotion. So when somebody's faking it, we know. Right. And when you see this fake smile, it creates a sense of distrust in you. And that's why most people are uncomfortable by them, because instinctually you can't trust this. This is a thing. It is lying to you. It is lying to you from the moment you saw it.
Which it literally makes sense why we're uncomfortable around clowns. That's the biggest thing when I was reading through this too, because that's the second possibility listed by this website, by the way. And I'll dive a little bit more into it after a second. But
that was the distrust. Okay.
Yeah, it's here. I'll just read it real quick. The second possibility stems from how humans are raised to read signals from each other to understand another's mood or actions. When looking at a clown with a smile painted on their face, it is hard to determine their true feelings about a situation. Same goes for one who has a frown or a frightened look to their makeup. Our brains get a mixed signal from seeing a smile painted on a face, but seeing someone act unfriendly. An experience like this can really cause some damage to the image of a clown for the entire person's life if seen from a young enough age. Many experts believe that the plethora of people who are currently uncomfortable with the idea of clowns stems from an accidental viewing of pop culture examples such as the movie It, which leads into the last possibility, which we'll talk about here in a second.
It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
It does. I mean, imagine a kid, I've got 3 kids of my own. Like, I'm just thinking about my 4-year-old. Her brain is still being developed. Her mind is still being developed. And What if she accidentally saw Pennywise, especially in the new movie?
Oh, I refuse to watch the new movie.
Oh, why? It was good.
My media intake was extremely regulated when I was a kid. Music, my parents had to, if I got a CD, it got taken away from me until my parents listened to it.
Really?
I wasn't permitted to watch horror films until I was 13, and it was the very first horror film that I ever saw.
Nice.
I'm not afraid of clowns, but that movie scared the hell out of me, and I have no ambition to actually watch the new movie because of it.
It is so good. I like the first part better than the second part, for
Yeah,
sure.
I'm okay. I don't need to see it.
If you ever do, I don't think that you're going to be upset about it.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that because it's going to bring up that past trauma from that Stephen King's. It is horrifying. That movie is scary as shit.
You're right. You're right. It is definitely scary. It is, and I couldn't imagine my 4-year-old seeing that. Anyways, let's get this last possibility out of the way, and we'll talk a little bit more. The last possibility listed by Gessinger.org is pop culture. Many current events and topics in pop culture may contribute to a person's fear of clowns. A few examples of clowns in pop culture are, of course, Pennywise from Stephen King's It, Twisty from American Horror Story Freak Show, Sweet Tooth from the video game Twisted Metal, my personal favorite, the Joker from Batman, Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope from the rap group Insane Clown Posse, and Captain Spaulding from the movies House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects. Any one of these potentially being the introduction of clowns to many young minds, leading to a lifetime of coulrophobia. When children witness something as being harmful, they can be persuaded throughout life that these things may be bad by their childhood minds. Even though the child has never experienced a clown in person, they may have seen something or have been told something at a young age that set their beliefs for a lifetime. Along with many different clowns speckled throughout all of pop culture, there are real-life clowns that haunt our news, such as the clowns that showed up in 2016 in the deep woods, backyards, and along the roads of many towns and cities across the United States. But let's not forget the most horrifying real-life clown of them all, John Wayne Gacy, also known as Pogo the Clown.
He had a body count.
Did he ever? 33.
33 confirmed.
Yeah, that's true. There was like 7 or 8 that they think that he was also associated with.
He also claims like a whole bunch too.
So I just want to put this out there real quick. Am I interested in serial killers? Yes, but in the same way that I'm interested in a lot of other things that aren't Bigfoot related. Like I'm interested in learning about everything. But this documentary that's coming out on Peacock TV about John Wayne Gacy, this looks like something I have to see it.
The psychology behind how their brains work is what fascinates me about serial killers.
Oh man, I just
like, what's going on in your head? Like, what short circuit happened in there that made you want to do this? Like, especially when it comes to John Wayne Gacy, because even like with most serial killers, it's not super common for them to go after children.
This whole thing, and maybe one day we do a deep dive into John Wayne Gacy. I've got a little bit of like the meat of what happened, but for the most part, maybe we'll do a deeper dive later on. Dude, it's just so creepy. Like it gives me shivers thinking about what he did and like, how could you do this?
There's a reason children are cute, right? Children are cute because it inspires us to protect them and take care of them. That's an evolutionary feature in babies and children across the animal kingdom in general. I mean, obviously there's the exceptions to the rules, but when you look at a child, your natural instinct is not to do them harm. And then you have this guy who made himself a clown so that he could be put into a position to be exposed to children so that he could do them harm. Is the complete opposite of a human being. Like I can't even watch Law and Order SVU. Like I used to be able to watch it and I'd be like, oh man, that's messed up. Since becoming a father, if I put like almost every episode on SVU is like someone's like, oh, this person did this to this kid, and it'll make me sick. So I'm like, my stomach's messed up. I don't even want to watch this. I can't watch the show anymore. And I feel like maybe that's a bit of an exaggerated response, but I feel like it's normal as compared to, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna slit his throat and stick him in my basement. Boy, you know what time it is. It's horrifying.
Let me get this out of the way, and we'll discuss John Wayne Gacy a little bit.
No, sorry, I get excited.
Nah, man, it's cool. It's cool. So John Wayne Gacy was not only one of the most horrific serial killers in the history of the United States, but a man who committed his brutal acts dressed as a clown. Gacy was a serial killer and sex offender who used his persona as a clown named Pogo the Clown to assault and murder 33 young men. Gacy would perform regularly at children's hospitals and charitable events only to lure his victims to his house in Norridge, Illinois, where he would convince the victim to attach handcuffs to themselves in an attempt to, quote unquote, show them a magic trick. His first murder was performed in 1972, 14 years before the release of Stephen King's book It hit the shelves. By the time he was finished, John Wayne Gacy was convicted of 33 murders, a record for the most by any one individual in U.S. history at the time. The newspapers and news outlets publicized the stories everywhere and were readily available to wandering eyes. John Wayne Gacy is thought to possibly be the origin of the first boom of cases of coulrophobia here in America.
Dude, that's deep. Like, that cuts you deep knowing like what he did. Especially if you're like a parent. You're just sitting there like, oh my God.
Talk about a real phobia. Like I brought up before, phobias are technically things, unreal fears about harmless situations. But this is like the thing as a parent, right? You hear shit like this and you're just like, no, I'm never letting my children outside again. They
Right.
will never see a clown. Fuck McDonald's. Nope, not never.
Given that phobias are typically like an irrational fear and you can't explain why people are afraid of it, the concept of coulrophobia is super interesting to me on a psychological level because it makes sense to be afraid of them. Or at least to be uncomfortable and distrust them. They say
Yeah.
like you're designed to detect these emotional responses in other humans, and they're giving you fake responses, and your brain knows it's fake. So it doesn't make sense to me that coulrophobia itself would fall so low on the phobia scale. It's strange. I'm trying to think about it, like why? You know what I mean?
Yeah, the reason why I think it does fall so low on the phobia scale is because, well, in most cases, it helps to have an influence at a young age. So as long as people are staying away from a movie such as It as a young age or something along those lines, you're not so prone to grow the phobia of clowns. You know what I'm saying? I think it's highly influenced by your childhood.
Ronald McDonald's out here putting in work.
Well, but the thing is that, as a kid, that's a positive thing. Kids look forward to going to McDonald's. I know when I was a kid, I used to look forward to my 4-piece chicken nugget and a little hamburger toy,
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I mean by him putting in work. He's out here providing the positive experiences in favor of clowns.
What do you know about these clowns in 2016?
Oh yeah, of course. We actually had one come down our street during trick or treat night, and it was pretty. That whole thing in 2016 was a little devastating for us. It was the first year we decided that we were going to really be giving kids candy, and like we went all out, dude. I think I spent like $1,300 on Halloween decorations, and then we bought
Dang.
costumes, and we decided like it was me and Alan and Carrie and like a couple of our roommates and stuff, and we're like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna do something. We're gonna go crazy, and our theme was clowns. And what we did was we bought the last year's Halloween stuff because it's way cheaper than buying the current year's Halloween stuff.
Right.
So I spent $1,300, but I got like almost $3,000 worth of Halloween gear because I mean it's Halloween gear. It's not Gucci, it doesn't really change that much year to year. So we went with the clown theme and had like a straight jacket. We had this like 9-foot clown demon thing and chain and like all this stuff. And then the stuff with the clowns in 2016 started happening. And I was looking at this and I was like, bro, no one's gonna let their kids anywhere near us, guy. And my roommate Alan was like, no, we spent the money. We're doing this. And I'm like, oh no, we're definitely doing it. I'm not like, I'm not going to spend the kind of money we spent and not do it. Like we're doing it. And like we had 3 bins. We had a bin of like just cheap little candy, like Dum Dums and stuff. And then we had a bin with like chocolates. And then we had a bin of full size candy bars. We were letting each kid pick from each bin. But like we definitely had parents that wouldn't let their kid anywhere near our house. They literally like would walk out to the street, past our house, then go to the neighbors. And then at one point we had this guy, he came down our street and he was in a clown mask and like these like raggedy clothes and was carrying an actual knife and just walked down the center of our street looking at people and like waving.
Hmm.
And we were like, really, you do know people are getting shot for that right now.
Ain't that the
Like
truth,
that was
man?
happening. Like people were getting killed for doing that clown thing. And I think it originated. It was supposed to be like some sort of like movie promotion or something like that. And then there was the very first thing that I heard about a clown just like standing on corners and creeping people out,
Mhm.
and was this story of this guy. And I want to say it was Seattle he was doing this in. Don't quote me on that. Could have been Detroit. You know what? Same thing. I think it was Detroit. And he would dress as a clown and he'd just stand on the corner with like a bunch of black balloons. And he just
Mm.
like weirded people out. And then the stuff with the, and like he made the news, and then there were like some like different like social media things going around. And then all this stuff with people doing clown stuff started happening because everyone's got a bandwagon jump somebody's stuff, you know?
Right. But you were having clowns like showing up in the deep woods of like North Carolina. I remember there was one.
Yeah. And like luring kids and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, like hunters like were out in the woods and they had captured a video of a clown walking through the woods with their cell phone or something. I remember watching this video. That was from some news station in North Carolina or South Carolina, and a hunter was in their tree stand, and I guess the clown didn't even realize that there was somebody in a tree stand, and they were like 50 yards away, and this guy was just recording this clown walking through the woods with a machete, walking, like not even goofing around or anything, but just walking through the woods, man. And the whole clown thing just got really crazy. Like they had like this image where they showed like a map of where the hunter was, and it was so far in the woods, it was like a mile in the woods to the closest road in any direction, and there was just a clown out there. Like people were doing some really strange shit. People were seeing them in like drive-throughs at McDonald's or Wendy's, and or just seeing them on the side of the road, over the Jersey barrier, along the wood line. Shit got creepy, man. It just took over the whole United States, it seemed like.
Though seeing clowns in an urban setting like that is creepy, it's not as scary as one being in the middle of the woods for no reason.
Oh man.
Like if I was that hunter, I might have shot that guy. Like you definitely killed people. That's what you're doing out here. You're killing people. Like
If that clown took a 90-degree turn and just started walking towards me, there would have been a thought in my mind to start lifting that rifle up, man. I might have started yelling at you like, "All right, man, that's enough. you just keep going, do what you're doing."
I remember watching the videos for it. And just and like some of them were funny, and like the clowns were like jumping on people's cars and stuff. And then like I would come across the occasional video where like people just jump out of the car, and like I literally watched somebody dressed as a clown get shot. And I'm like, don't know how I came across that video. Don't know why YouTube didn't filter it. Did not need to see that. But they were getting killed over it. Like, and I don't understand why you would do something that's gonna provoke. Because like if you think about that, if somebody is experiencing coulrophobia and you come at them dressed as a clown, especially like if you live here in Pennsylvania, like, do you know how many of us have license to carry?
Right.
Like, it's like 1 in 6 people or something like that. Like, there are a lot of us out here on the street carrying a gun legally, and you're going to
Right.
come at somebody, dressed as a clown or something, and they have coulrophobia and they're carrying, you're going to get shot, or at least there's a really good chance they're going to shoot you.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, if you think about, like, why would you ever put yourself in that position to do that? Like, it's funny that you're scaring the hell out of people. Like, all right, it's a little funny that you're scaring the hell out of people, but there's a lot of risk behind doing that. And then, like, on top of that, people don't know, like, are you just taking part in a fad, or are you taking advantage of a fad and actually hurting people?
Or you're the next fucking John Wayne Gacy, and you're gonna fucking come at me, stupid.
Right. That would have been John Wayne Gacy's playground. Everyone's doing it. I'm in.
Exactly. Like, let's talk about the dangers of the things that could have happened because people were doing that. Like, what if someone had an obsession with John Wayne Gacy? There's insane people out there. They're looking for a sign from a greater power that says, okay, now's the time to start dressing up like a clown and start killing young boys.
Oh, there was probably definitely somebody who had that thought. At least there's honestly probably somebody who did do it and got away with it.
It's horrible.
Yeah. I mean, that's the reality of it. They probably did happen, and they just weren't caught.
I remember watching the news, and it was actually very interesting to watch back then. To watch it all unfold and watch how much it spread across the United States. And I know that there was like this theory about some online group because it seemed to just pop up overnight, and a week later it was all over the country.
Yeah, like the most bizarre flash mob in the history of ever.
I remember being very intrigued by it and wanting to watch the news to see what was going on. And you had all those people that were making these theories about how this was paranormal in some way, and I think that's where I was really interested in it. But obviously it wasn't, because real life people were taking real life bullets.
Do you think that coulrophobia rates went up at an abnormally high scale during that time?
Probably.
Like, there's probably people walking around right now that are genuinely terrified of clowns now because of the whole incident.
Absolutely. I really do think that at least a decent handful of people are walking around right now with coulrophobia because of the 2016 clowns.
So then, I mean, that website's theory would be right, that like modern pop culture and stuff would definitely have a major hand in causing a phobia.
Yeah, I don't see why not. There's at least one person walking around on this planet that is now afraid of clowns because of the summer of 2016.
Right, they went around the bend somewhere and some dude jumped on their car and like waved a knife at them, and now they can't sleep at night.
Yep, now they're afraid of fucking clowns.
I wouldn't blame them. That
Oh
was
no, me neither.
scary as hell.
Me neither. I'm sure there's somebody that now has this phobia just from watching the news. And worrying and sitting there every night looking out their window expecting to see a clown at the edge of their yard. I'm sure.
It's just a fascinating phobia. It really, really is.
It is.
So, yeah, such low numbers for something that it makes more sense to be afraid of clowns than it does to be, agoraphobic.
Yeah.
Like, well, no, that's not true, because if I was in a situation, well, I don't necessarily need to feel that I need an escape route everywhere I go.
Mhm.
So, like if I'm in like a restaurant, like I'm not looking like, all right, where are the exits? Like, it's not really something I'm concerned about. So again, like, but it's just the science behind the coulrophobia just makes sense.
Oh, it does.
And you're just like, there are so many things that everyone's afraid of that don't make any sense at all. And we have high numbers of these fears, but something that makes total sense, even in a scientifically rationalized manner. And we have low numbers. And then we have these bizarre people that are obsessed with them and love them. And it's like, why? Why do you love them? What's going on in your head? Like, how does your brain function to make something that most of the people at a minimum distrust and are at least a little uncomfortable? Why are you in love with them?
Yeah.
Like, what is it about them? Like, why do you love them as much as you do? Shoot, there was something else for phobias that I wanted to talk about at the end after covering that. Now I can't remember what it is.
Well, cool, man. I think that was a good episode. I was a little worried about it. It was an interesting topic, and I was interested in doing the research in it. But now, after we recorded this, I was like, yeah, that was a good episode, man.
Yeah, and it really sets a precedent when you're starting to think about some of the things we're going to be covering coming up in the future.
Yeah.
Where it's like scientifically makes sense, but people don't do it, and then scientifically it doesn't make sense, but people are doing it, and why? Mm-hmm. Why? Like, we need a professional in the field of psychology to come on and explain this to us. That needs to happen.
Yeah. You hear that, psychologist? We need you.
We do. Because you spent a lot of time in medical school to learn why these things happen, and we didn't. So
reach out to us.
We got in front of a microphone one day and decided we were going to be podcasters with no formal training. So
at all. No, but all jokes aside, if you're a psychologist and you'd like to come on and talk to us on Infinite Rabbit Hole, reach out to us at infiniterabbithole@gmail.com. You can talk to either myself, CJ, or Wes. Any one of us would be willing to talk to you a little bit off air to kind of set something up and schedule. I think that would be a really interesting conversation to have that I would love to pick your brain about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well, CJ, if you ain't got nothing else, then I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah, man, I'll go ahead and do that because, I remember I kind of touched on it without realizing I touched on it. It's like the people that are in love with the things that people are typically afraid of for no reason. And says, but I'm one of those people. I love snakes.
Ugh.
Typically, people don't.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in finding out what's going on inside my brain that makes me so different in that field than, say, you, who have that very atypical and completely logical fear of snakes brought to you from evolution. You know?
Yeah. All right, man. Well, CJ, thanks for coming on again with me today, man.
Yeah.
This was CJ's first choice for the lineup of Infinite Rabbit Hole. So this one was all CJ. I think that this was a good one, man.
I like weird stuff.
Well, it's good because we do weird stuff on here all the time. We got some weird stuff coming up for sure that's going to leave people scratching their heads. Until next time, guys, we'll see you down the Infinite Rabbit Hole.
Bye-bye.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Infinite Rabbit Hole. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can do so at infiniterabbithole@gmail.com. Follow us at facebook.com/infiniterabbithole. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/infiniterh. Follow us on Instagram at infinite_rabbit_hole. We're always looking for someone that has a story to share. So if you feel like you've experienced a strange encounter with something that you can't explain, reach out to us. Let us know. Come on, have a good time, tell your story. And if for some reason you don't want to show up on a podcast, send us a letter in our email in a format that we can read to the fans, and we'll be more than happy to read it to everybody. Well, that's all for this episode. We'll see you next time down the Infinite Rabbit Hole.